Blackbeard, after 5 years, has finally made his move.
Oh, hell no!
Being one of the primary antagonists for such a long time, we were all wondering, what is Blackbeard doing? And now, we finally know! Chapter 1059 has revealed so many mind-blowing things. Number 1. Rayleigh's wife Haki is confirmed as an OG Empress and captain of the Dracule Pirates. Number 2. Vegapunk has cloned the warlords into Lunarian Pacifistas.
Who?
Number 3. The most tragic of all, Blackbeard violates Luffy's wife.
Hold up, something ain't right.
Okay, I gotta chill. But seriously, in this chapter, Blackbeard with his new bounty is officially making his moves, going against Hancock wanting her power for his new world order. But not just that, more importantly, our boy Kobe has been kidnapped. We start chapter 1059 with a ship sailing towards Sphinx Island, Whitebeard's homeland. It turns out that Marco got an Uber ride from the red-haired pirates, but before he gets off, Shanks tries to recruit him to join the red-haired pirates. Sadly, Marco refuses, stating he is sick and tired of being the babysitter for great pirates. Shanks objects, but Beckman pipes up agreeing. I mean, he ain't wrong. Shanks isn't the easiest captain to deal with. We then rewind in time during the night of Green Bull's attack, where we get a better explanation on why Yamato isn't joining the Straw Hats, telling Luffy how she feels that Wano isn't strong enough for her to depart, since without Shanks' help, they could have been in serious trouble from Green Bull. The realization of Wano lacking strength was purposely given to them by Green Bull, who we all believe to have roots in Wano. But whatever charade he is playing is certain he is looking out for his country in his own ways. We then get a nice parting for Yamato, with Sanji being one of the funniest. Yamato-chan! Yamato states that she does desperately want to join the crew, and I guess when she no longer feels worried about Wano's safety, she will join Luffy on his journey. He of course understands and accepts Yamato's decision, leaving Momonosuke in her care. Marco then flies over to Luffy, saying his farewells as he has found a suitable ship for him to leave on. They all then have a moment together, reminiscing the good old times in saving Ace. Wait a minute, that didn't happen. I mean the good old times in saving Luffy after Ace's death during the Summit War. Luffy finally thanks Marco for all he did for him. Marco replies saying that Ace would have been extremely proud to see how far his little brother has come, leaving a smile to Luffy's face. As Marco flies off, he parts with the final words down to Luffy, reminding him that now this is his era. These words are literally the embodiment of the Wano arc coming to a close, as with the old, here comes the new. Luffy, Kid, Law, and everyone in his generation are the ones who will hold the beacon for the future pirates of the sea. We then move back to the present day, Amazon Lily, the island of women. And oh boy, this shit go down here. Part of the big mountain in the center of the island has been destroyed. The old Empress Gloriosa, I can't say her name, Gloriosa, there you go.
Okay. Let's try this again.
The old Empress Gloriosa states that this is the first time in history that men were able to invade the island like this, leaving the city in shambles. Hancock says that as long as she stays on the island, enemies will keep coming searching after her, giving her no choice to leave and finally chase her own dreams to marry Luffy. Seriously though, like Mihawk, Buggy, and the other disbanded warlords, the Navy sent out their forces to capture them. In chapter 956, we saw Kobe being sent to Boa Hancock, and now, with yet another flashback, we see how shit went down. Going back a week, Vice Admiral Yamakaji leads the charge as the Marines invade Amazon Lily. Right away, they are encountered by the Dracule Pirates, who tries to fight them off, but that seems fruitless with their main power powerhouse Hancock nowhere to be seen. At this point, we finally learn the real reason on why the government decided they no longer need the warlord system. The Marines released their new and improved Pacifistas to the front lines, whilst preparing to record their overwhelming destruction for the world to see. A little girl who has a star-shaped pupil with black wings and flames on her back appears in front of Margaret and Sweet Pea. Due to her being a child and having a familiar face, they are reluctant to fight her. Well, they messed up.
You done fucked up now!
Yes, because this little brat can shoot laser beams, just like those good old pacifistas we know. It's then revealed that these new childlike humanoid weapons are called Seraphim, which is based on the Abrahamic concept of the celestial and heavenly angelic being, known as Seraph, meaning the burning one, or in plural terms, Seraphim. A passage in the book of Isaiah used the term to describe 6-winged angelic beings that flies around the throne of God, crying, "Holy, holy, holy." Seraphim are also seen as those who kindle hot fire, where all of this relates back to these new pacifistas. The first batch was modeled after Kuma, who was noted to carry a Bible around him at all times. These new models are definitely a representation of the biblical understanding of angels. The celestial dragons are seen as gods in the One Piece world, and these seraphims are constructed to follow their every wish. Currently, they gave the authority to the leaders of the Navy, but ultimately the Celestials are their masters. We also know this to be the case with the reconstructed Kuma, who had no choice but to obey every instructions of the dragons. Their childlike form is also to play to the innocence of angels, which is portrayed in some biblical understandings. The other comparison is the wings and production of fire, in which these new pacifistas also exhibit. Due to this, we know that they are based off King's Lunarian DNA, which was obtained by Vegapunk and the government during his time in captivity, which was shown to us in chapter 1035. But the government didn't stop there, as we soon find out that the DNA based model is a fusion of many different people. We know Seraphims had 6 wings, which gives us an idea on how many of these pacifistas were made, or how many personalities and DNA was combined together to make one. But the notion is that there is one Seraphim per warlord. Vegapunk, once being part of Mads, is very well versed with genetic modification and even is capable of creating test tube babies like the Germa 66 soldiers. These new pacifistas are indeed alive, but mixed with technological enhancements, making them some sort of super cyborg. With the Lunarian aspect, the Seraphims will be able to fly and ignite their flames, manipulating fire. Whilst the fire is up, they will have incredible resistance to physical damage, making them pretty much invulnerable. When they do turn down their flames, they will gain incredible speed and agility. These Seraphims also possess other genetic modification which are still unknown to us. The idea of them having Haki is still a possibility, along with having every enhancement Sanji and his sibling possess. Honestly, they might be the strongest power the government currently have. But coming back to the chapter, whilst all this madness is happening in Amazon Lily, suddenly, out of nowhere, the Blackbeard Pirates ship appears right behind the marine warships. Using his devil fruit powers, Blackbeard creates a massive sea quake, pushing the marines out of his path, giving him open access to Amazon Lily. Landing on the island with Katarina Devon and Vasco shot, Blackbeard reveals his plan on not letting the marines capture Boa Hancock, as he wants to obtain her powers. As we all know from chapter 925, Blackbeard somehow steals Absalom's devil fruit powers of the Clear no Mi and gives it to his second ship captain, Shiryu of the Rain. This shows us how Blackbeard started making his moves since then, and is now on the hunt for the best devil fruit powers. Let's not forget, in Dressrosa, Burgess also wanted to kidnap Luffy to obtain his devil fruit. This might be the entire reason why Blackbeard would end up fighting Luffy, especially in the future once he learns about Luffy's Hito no Mi, model Nika. There is also the question on how he's able to steal devil fruits. Obviously, it has to do something with the Yami no Mi, and again, the cloak might be used for absolute darkness. However, the other likelihood is that he coats the cloak with Haki, or his low gear powers, preventing the spirit of the devil fruit from escaping, just as he takes the power and stores it in some way or form. Regardless of the means of obtaining the devil fruit, Blackbeard Blackbeard is effectively making an army of devil fruit users, where at least his top commanders and ship captains will receive the best and strongest devil fruits. It's very similar to the Yonko Kaido, but this time the devil fruit powers are natural and not limited to the faulty man-made smile fruits.
But coming back, Katarina exclaims that she wants Hancock's head all to herself because, I mean, you know, who wouldn't? Blackbeard, being all cool with necrophilia and that, was on board with it, as long as he gets her powers, though Vasco makes a point, saying it would be better to keep Hancock alive and capture her, because, you know, before they finish her off and take the power of the Mero Mero no Mi for themselves, he might wanna, you know... The Marines then ask the Vice Admiral for orders to attack Blackbeard, but are told to wait until they receive the go-ahead from HQ, which makes it easier for Blackbeard to approach the island. He literally pushes them aside like they are fodder as he tells Hancock to come out. Meanwhile, Kobe enters the city with a group of Marines trying to reason with Hancock, promising her that the Marines will not resort to violence if she surrenders. Kobe, being Kobe, doesn't want any more violence and bloodshed. Boa's sisters try to protect her, saying that they will handle the Marines, but Hancock ain't no bitch. She wants all the smoke. She was one of the 7 warlords of the sea, along with the other big names such as Mihawk and Doflamingo. So Hancock straight up heads into the battle, saying how she doesn't bow down to anyone and will not succumb to the Blackbeard Pirates or the Marines. Blackbeard's subordinates ask him for help as a child appears in front of them. Suddenly, this kid causes a massive explosion, stunning Blackbeard as he recognizes the white hair, brown skin, and the black wings. The kid then finally shows his face and reveals to be none other than a Lunarian Mihawk.
What?
As we mentioned earlier, these new Pacifistas were made by Vegapunk to replace the warlords. As a matter of fact, the kids look similar to the child version of Mihawk which Oda drew in his SBS One Piece Volume 90. So this is what it would look like if the warlords and the Pacifistas had a baby together. Mihawk Jr. then attacks Blackbeard with an attack that easily sliced a mountain apart. This confuses the already dumbfounded Blackbeard once he realizes the Lunarian is in fact a Pacifista. He even has PX written on his chest. The Pacifista then attacks Blackbeard again, but this time he stops the sword with his armament Haki and reverses it using his black hole, sucking everything around him into absolute darkness, finally showing us what Blackbeard is truly made of. This is literally the first time we've seen Blackbeard's armament Haki, and also the first time we've seen him in action since Marineford. That was, I mean, what, quick Google check? Yeah, 2011. And that was just the anime. Meanwhile, Hancock uses her slave arrow attack to turn all nearby enemies into stone, including Blackbeard's crew members. Kobe then orders the Pacifista to stop immediately as he doesn't want the stone statues of the Marines to be destroyed. Just before Hancock is about to use her perfume FEMA attack, someone stops her. This someone is none other than Blackbeard. Here, Teach finally manages to capture Hancock as he's holding her by the neck in front of everyone. Teach is also using his devil fruit powers to prevent Boa from using hers. The chapter also uses this to cleverly inform us about the updated bounties of the pirates. Boa Hancock's frozen bounty was around 80 million berries in chapter 522. Now her bounty has grown out of proportion. The captain of the Kuja Pirates, Boa Hancock's bounty is now a whopping 1.659 billion berries. This chapter also reveals the bounty of Blackbeard, as Teach's bounty now stands at 3.996 billion berries, being the second highest amongst the Yonkos. They didn't just throw the bounties during a serious moment to simply save time. Bounties have often been referred to as a meter that scales just how much of a threat someone is. The difference between Boa Hancock and Blackbeard's bounty shows just how big of a gap exists exists between the two. As Teach holds Boa by the neck, he laughs and talks about how he's impressed by her powers as she has turned all of his idiots or crew members into stone. Here, idiots include Katarina Devon and Vasca Shot, two extremely strong pirates who were infamous around the world and were imprisoned in Impel Down. This reiterates that Hancock's Haki is on another level, as one's Haki can prevent themselves from being petrified. We know Boa is a Conqueror's user, but not being able to petrify Blackbeard is also a testament to his abilities, either his own Haki or his Yami Yami no Mi being able to negate all devil fruits. Blackbeard continues to talk about how he has been patiently waiting to acquire Hancock's power. After all, she can literally turn anyone into stone, and in the wrong hands it could be a catastrophe. Boa then interrupts Teach and tells him that her abilities are linked to her beauty, and if she were to die, all the people she had turned into stone won't be able to come back to life, even if the new user of the Mero Mero no Mi wishes to do so. It's here that Kobe thinks that Boa Hancock is a much bigger problem, as she is far trickier than anyone expected. Teach then exclaims that the three of them are stuck in a stalemate, as he shifts his focus towards hero Kobe. Blackbeard thanks Kobe for the Rocky Port incident, as only because of him Blackbeard was able to defeat Wang Zhi, the previous ruler of Fuller Lead Island. Wang Zhi is a formidable pirate who was once part of Rox D. Zebek's crew. Kobe strongly rejects this, as it would lead to the deaths of countless people. After asking Kobe for advice in which he doesn't take, he states how it's stupid to believe that Hancock would actually turn all of these people back to normal, hence killing her is a better option. Hancock replies that if Teach were to leave the island, she'd set everyone free. As she says this, Blackbeard tightens his hand around her neck, ready to snap that shit in half. Just as we get the feeling that Blackbeard will make his decision, a strong Haki appears. It's none other than Rayleigh. As soon as he shows himself, Teach pisses his pants, stuttering as he calls the old man Dark King. Rayleigh then draws his sword against Blackbeard and says that he doesn't particularly like him, and if he doesn't leave now, he's gonna catch all that smoke. Imagine getting Rayleigh to hate you, man. Blackbeard's a menace for real, I'm telling you. Like the Giga Chad he is, Rayleigh mediates the stalemate and orders Boa Hancock to release everyone, and he will make sure that Teach and the others leave the island without doing anything stupid. Here, Rayleigh plays the role in the same way Shanks did in Marineford and even Wano only a few chapters ago. As we come back to the present time, Shaki notes that the Calm Belt is no longer safe due to Dr. Vegapunk's Seastone warships, as the Marines are able to travel through the seas without any difficulty. This chapter, I've got to say it now, has turned out to be absolutely massive with the amount of reveals that we've seen. We've got Yamato's decision, the new bounties of Blackbeard and Boa Hancock, Teach's plans for the future, and now Shaki's true identity. Apparently, she was the Empress of the Kuja people and the captain of the Kuja Pirates 2 generations ago. As shocking as this may be, it also makes sense. After all, Rayleigh is one of the only men Boa Hancock has ever trusted, and now it makes a lot of sense about how Hancock and her sisters ended up in Amazon Lily along with them meeting the former Empress. Shaki is only 64 years old, meaning she must have become the Empress at an unbelievably young age. I mean, we're talking 2 generations ago. But with that said, this reinforces the idea of Shaki also being a part of Rox's crew, as we see the silhouette of someone who looks a lot like her, whilst we learn of his members. Regardless, Rayleigh happily states that things actually went well for them, as due to his old age he wouldn't have been able to defeat Blackbeard, which does make a lot of sense. Man's like, what, 80 years old? I think we can clear the slack here, Rayleigh. The focus then shifts to the new Pacifistas, who didn't take a single scratch during all of this. They talk about how one of the Pacifista looked eerily similar to a young Boa Hancock, although the pupils are star-shaped. Once again, as we stated, Vegapunk utilised the DNA or multiple sources where the warlords of the past are for sure the base of them. So we can expect a Blackbeard Jr., Crocodile Jr., Doffy Jr., and who knows, why stop with the warlords? We might even see a mini Shanks for God's sake. Meanwhile, the details of everything happening at Amazon Lily has been reported to the Marines, and the chapter ends with the newspapers talking about the kidnapping of the hero Captain Kobe by the hands of Marshal D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. Now if you enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend that you check the one on your screen right now.